when you talk to people, you get a feeling that sometimes there is this perception that, hey, the whole AI started when ChatGPT came into picture, right? Which is like 2.5 years back, which is not the case, right? People have been using AI techniques for a while now. Any roles that need human interaction can't be fully replaced with AI, right? That's my strong belief. Rather, that loan officer will be a lot more productive and a lot more effective if he uses AI.
Even if you're using like a ChatGPT heavily and you're feeding it all this information from all the different aspects of your life, it tends to, and at least is my personal experience, to start formulating suggestions, responses, and that sort of thing that really do sound like you. Where do you see AI picking up where the human element drops off?
In life, there's a blueprint for everything. There's no need to start over. Hear from industry leaders, those at the top of their fitness journey, and real estate gurus. They tell you exactly how they did it. All you have to do is listen, learn, and execute. This is The Blueprint with Brad Rice.
All right, guys, welcome back to the next edition of The Blueprint. And today I am brought to you with my robo arm here. Got the cast off. You saw that last week for my torn bicep. Today they gave me this. A little bit easier to function, but here we are. For those of you who are just listening and not watching, go to YouTube and you can see this big brace I've got on. But today I want to welcome a very special guest who came in. He's got some business meetings in the area. I didn't expect to see him. I thought, hey, come on in. I'm going to bring you on the podcast because you're doing some amazing things. So I got Murali, who is with us as the CEO and founder of Voltage. And Voltage is a FinTech company that gives mortgage lenders and servicers the ability to fully automate their loan processing. We'll talk to you about what that means. But he's using the cutting edge of AI intelligence and document reading to make this happen and make it a lot easier for lenders to be more efficient and to bring lower costs to loans. So Murali's been, for the last 25 years, in technology. He's worked for companies like Oracle and IBM, as well as some others. But the last 10 years, he's been kind of constructing his own thing. And Voltage is a big part of that. So he started Voltage from scratch, if I'm not mistaken. And he's also a super optimistic guy, right? And we've known each other for quite some time. We met at a convention years back, I believe in San Diego was where we first met. And he's got some real insights to the future of mortgages. So, Murali, welcome, man. It's good to see you.
Brad, first of all, thanks a lot. And you kind of set some very high expectations out there. So that kind of scares me a bit. But I'm so happy to be here, right? So you're right. So we've been in touch with her several years now. And I'm in town to meet some other clients. So it's great that I'm able to sit across the table here and be part of this. You have some really awesome setup over here.
This is the way we do it. I've got Micah to thank for that. He helped me put it all together. Yeah, this is, we've been doing this a year now in-house for the, I had a previous podcast, and of course you had me as a guest on yours. It's been a couple of years. But we had one that was virtual, and then we decided let's bring it in-house, and we designed the studio, and it's worked out well. We've been doing it for a year now.
Yeah, so I didn't have a setup like this.
No.
Right? So when I did my podcast, you know how it was. We were doing a Zoom recording, and then we were doing some post-production. This is awesome. In fact, I've been thinking about restarting my podcast, a new season. So this gives me some inspiration for sure.
Yeah, you know what? And to talk about that for a second, because I think people are interested in that. Podcasts are still very popular. And of course, without podcasting, Joe Rogan wouldn't be who he is today. And even though he had lots of popularity before then on TV, that's really put him on the map. This guy can talk to and call and have on his podcast anybody in the world. It's the most amazing thing. He's become the most influential guy, and it's because of podcasting. But he was an early adopter, right? And having the in studio podcast just brings a different element. People connect with each other a little deeper. We can have a regular conversation, and you don't have the overlapping of us talking over each other and the delays and things that happen. So it's just, I find it to be a much better way. So if you start it again, maybe have a little bit of both.
Yeah,
have it in-house. It's not as easy to get guests when it's in person, but when you do have them in person, you can have a deeper conversation. Yeah.
I'll keep that in mind.
Right on. So, all right. So I want to talk a little bit about, where this started. Like, how did you get involved in the mortgage industry to begin with, to be aware that there were some pain points? And then what was that pivotal moment where you said, there's got to be a better way? Are you a tech investor looking to shape the future of real estate? HomePie is the #1 for sale by owner marketplace, and we are revolutionizing the way homes are bought and sold. I'd love to hear from you. Just email invest@homepie.com and let's chat. Now back to the show.
Right. Okay. Great question, Brad. That's a great question. So I'll be upfront, right? It's not like, one fine day I had this realization that, hey, mortgage is the place I want to be, right? Mortgage is the problem that I want to solve, right? It didn't start that way, right? So just to take a step back and tell you a bit about my startup journey, right? So like you said in your introduction, I worked in the industry for about 15 plus years, right? In a mix of consulting and sales roles, worked for large companies, Oracle, IBM, etc. And there I picked my core skills, right? My core skills being, solving for enterprise business problems, right?
Okay.
So, which is all about understanding a business process and then reimagining it and trying to figure out a better way to kind of, do the same business process, in a faster way, cheaper way, better way, right?
Sure.
Sometimes using tech, sometimes using
Yep.
just simply changing people, sometimes using, different metrics, etc., right? That was my grounding. It just so happened, over those 15 years, I worked for some really great companies, but it so happened that I was moving from a large company to a larger company and a much larger company, right? So my last corporate job was with IBM, right?
Okay.
A pretty
Yep.
large company. So as I moved from a smaller to a larger organization, I felt that, the impact that I'm able to create was kind of diminishing, right?
Yep.
And that was not fine with me.
That happens a lot with technicians. They want it. Impact is a big part of job fulfillment.
Yeah, right. So it's not just about, hey, how big a portfolio I'm managing, how big a client I'm managing, but at a personal level, when I was actually looking at what I was doing, I did not feel that I was making the kind of impact that I wanted to.
Sure.
Right? So that was the origin of me wanting to do something on my own, right? So that's the origin of my startup journey. I did a couple of startups before Voltage, right? And those were, we all make mistakes, particularly, in an entrepreneurship journey. We're trying to do something on your own. You will have your learnings,
Yep.
right? So let me call them that rather than mistakes. Right?
Okay.
I had my learnings, and then I got together with this friend of mine, Sajeev. He's my co-founder and CTO here in Voltage. And when we got together, the problem that we are trying to solve was not so much around, hey, how do we do mortgages better, right? That was not the problem statement. The problem statement rather was, how do we make search better? More specifically, enterprise search better, right?
Okay.
So let me kind of break that down a little bit, right? Both Sajeev and I, my co-founder and I,
Yep.
we worked in large organizations. And one of the big challenges when you work in a large enterprise or mid to large enterprise is finding information and documents from within the enterprise, right?
Yep.
Like let us say you're working in a Deloitte, you're working in an Accenture, you're working in an IBM. So you will have literally millions of documents in your enterprise, right? So you could be a sales guy, you could be an architect, and you're going to a client meeting. You would want to look for information, documents related to the problem statement that you're going to work on, right?
Yep.
And you go to your intranet and search. You will actually get like 100,000 results, but not really what you need at the top.
Right.
And that was because traditional search, works well only on web pages, short form content, not on long form content, right? So that was a problem statement that we set out to solve, right? And we had this hypothesis that if you can actually build a AI/ML algorithm that can look into a document.
What is AI/ML?
Yeah, and artificial intelligence and machine learning.
Okay.
Right? Sure. So of course,
Yep.
AI is
AI/ML.
a broad term, and ML is one technique within machine learning is
Yep.
one technique. Vision algorithms is another, right? Bunch, right? So our hypothesis is using AI, we should be able to automatically surface information and insights from long form documents, right? So, and then once you surface the critical information from a document, then you can actually apply, a search layer to give the right results for the users.
Okay.
Right? So that way, our first product was actually a search product. We called it Voltage Enterprise Search, and then we were selling it to knowledge industry clients, right?
Okay.
So information technology, IT, ITES, pharma, clients like that.
When was this, by the way?
This was almost 8 years back.
Okay, 8 years ago.
8 years.
Definitely way before what we currently recognize as AI. I mean, you're using, even back then, you were using AI or artificial intelligence, but it wasn't in the same framework that we talk about it today.
You're absolutely right, Brad. A lot of times, when you talk to people, you get a feeling that sometimes there is this perception that, hey, the whole AI started when ChatGPT come into picture, right? Which is like 2.5 years back, which is not the case, right? People have been using AI techniques for a while now, right?
Yep.
So yes, so we started our AI journey, our startup and AI journey back in almost 7 to 8 years back.
Okay.
And we are trying to solve this enterprise search problem. But long story short, what we realized was while that was a really good problem statement to solve for the end user, but for the decision makers who has to sign the check, who are the CIOs at that time, that was not a high priority problem, right? So it was good for the users, but we could not monetize it, right?
Got it.
At the same time, we had a realization when we were talking to the end users, because our end users, when we actually told them how we are able to give such good search results, they said that, hey, if you are able to pull out all this information from documents, we just need that capability.
Yeah,
search is good, but you know what? I have like a 50 people team who is sitting and looking into loan documents, who is sitting and looking into lease documents.
So this was a
capture data.
potential client you were talking to, and they happen to be in the mortgage business, the CIO?
Yeah, so great question. So to be more specific, we were actually doing a pilot with Accenture.
Okay.
Right? So with Accenture, we were actually positioning and trying to sell our search product.
Okay.
Right? And when the team who was actually involved in the pilot looked at this, while they were still evaluating it as search, they said that, hey, you know what? Accenture operations team, they have a BPO/operations business, which is a multi-billion-dollar business, right? So over there, they have like hundreds and thousands of people whose one of the key functions is actually capturing critical data from complex documents.
Okay.
Right? So imagine you will have Accenture doing lease administration for your commercial building.
Yeah.
Right? And it starts by capturing relevant data from that complex lease document. Right? Which takes a lot of time.
That's right.
See, they
Very
said
complex.
that-
The commercial lease documents, for those that don't know, they're highly complex. They're very small, right? They use like a 8 size font. And you're talking about dense reading over, legal size pages that may be 50 to 75 pages for just one commercial lease. So digesting that and all the references to separate paragraphs and all that sort of thing, it's highly complex. So it's obviously a problem to solve.
Correct. Yeah, they have, commercial leases have all these complex kind of do's and don'ts, right? So it's like, if you have a donut shop here, you can't actually lease it to another donut shop on the same floor, for example, right?
Yep.
So all sorts of things like that. So the search product that we are trying to sell, we could not sell that, but the same thing that we could actually sell to Accenture to extract information from complex leases, commercial leases,
Sure.
right? So that's when we realized that, hey, the technology that we were building, we saw the power of the technology in solving for information extraction problem statement. So with that,
can I take a step sideways here and just ask a question about this? Just, people that are not technologists, that don't really understand, they know the end user AI functionality. Ask a question, get an answer. load a doc, a Word document or a PDF, and ask ChatGPT, hey, decipher this for me, give me the highlights, that type of thing. Or, hey, here's a legal document. Am I able to do X or Y? And it gives them that answer. But what they don't understand, and what I don't understand, or the regular person doesn't understand, is how does that actually work? So it's taught to read these words, but also to understand the complexities behind them, because a lot of legalese is written in a way where a normal person can't even if they read a sentence, they don't really understand the legal interpretation of it, the way that it phrases things. And that's what creates arguments for lawsuits and so forth. But how does it actually go about doing that? Sure. Could you explain that?
Yeah, absolutely. So great question, Brad. So I'll actually break that down into two things, right? So because a lot of times I think when somebody asks a question like this, they have ChatGPT in mind, right? So I want to break that down into two. So AI, of course, is a collection of different techniques, right? So you have machine learning, techniques which are more statistical models but put on boosters, right? Mm-hmm. So you use that, to solve problems like, let us say you have 1 million credit card customers. You have a new offer that you want to send. Now, you don't want to blast every offer to, each one of those 1 million customers, right? So based on history, you want to identify who could be the right customers, right? So this is traditional statistical modeling, right? But that also forms a part of AI. So there are different techniques like that. Vision is one area, right? So video is another area, etc. Now, coming more specifically to generative AI, right? So when people talk about Gen AI, what is different or what is unique about Gen AI is the quote unquote generative part of it, right? In fact, two pieces. One is the generative part of it, and the second is the context part of it, right?
Okay.
So these are two.
So generative and
context.
Okay.
Right? So context and generative aspect. These are two unique things about the Gen AI, the chat GPTs of the world. Mm-hmm. Now, let me kind of tell you, for example, we've been doing AI-based solutions for about 7 to 8 years now, right? Now, what do we do? What we do is, like, let us say you're a loan processor, right? You receive a bunch of borrower uploaded documents. You need to capture data from those documents. So you can give a bank statement, Voltage can capture relevant data. You give a W-2, Voltage can capture relevant data. You can even give, like, let us say there is a prior loan, prior mortgage. You can give a note, you can give a deed of trust. Voltage can capture relevant data.
Okay.
Now, traditionally, people used to use OCR for this function, right?
What does OCR stand for?
OCR stands for optical character recognition.
Okay.
Right?
Yep.
So even today when I actually go, sometimes the easiest way to tell customers what I do is I tell them that, hey, we provide OCR software that really works.
Yeah.
Right?
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yep.
So because, people see this problem statement as, hey, I have a document, I need to capture data from the document. And that's what OCR was supposed to be.
Sure.
Right? And it was called optical character recognition because, like, if you take, for example, a check, right? So, you need to identify each character in a check image and pull that off the check.
Yep.
Right? Now, but the challenge with traditional OCR was it would only work if you already know the template of the document.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
So that way you know that, hey, for name, go out here and pick it.
Yep.
Right? For amount, go to this particular place and pick it. Right?
Yep.
But now you think about a pay stub. A pay stub.
They're all different.
They're all different, right?
That's right.
You take a deed of trust, right? It's like it can be 5 pages, it can be 15 pages.
Yep.
Right?
Everybody does them a little bit differently.
Differently, right?
So there's no template to the structure.
There's no template, right? There's no template. Now, we used machine learning techniques to build models to capture data from those documents. Now, there's one core way that data scientists approached building this, right? So the way the core of all these AI, right, the new AI that we see, it all boils down to this, right? So you give a lot of data to these AI models, And then what the AI models do is they take, let us say, a paragraph of text, right? So paragraph of text could be, it could be a paragraph that talks about Amerifund's values, let us say, right?
Okay.
You have a mission statement, one paragraph.
Okay.
Right? So what these algorithms do is they take that particular paragraph and it removes a word from it and then tries to predict it. Okay.
Okay.
So you have a paragraph, 50 words. It removes a word and now it tries to predict it.
What word that would have been?
Exactly.
Yep.
Right. So something like, I say Brad is a great person, right?
Right.
So now you remove great and try to guess.
Yep.
Right.
Got it.
So now using all the context around it, the software has to guess that.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
So, and the software literally uses millions or even billions of parameters to guess that.
Yep.
Right. So that's where this whole thing of, number of parameters comes
Sure.
into play. Right.
Yep. We would be great at crossword puzzles.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Indeed.
Okay.
Indeed. So all this ML, when it comes to document processing related machine learning, is it goes to that, right? Where you take text, remove a word, and let software
that's how it
predict
learns.
it, right?
Okay.
Build models to predict that.
Yep.
Okay, now that was AI. That was one of the core aspects of AI. Like, so even we did the same thing, right?
Okay.
So today, if you actually give, let us say, a closing disclosure, right? And now from closing disclosure, you want to capture what is the underwriting fee,
Right.
right? So we train in exactly the same way.
Okay. Can I ask you this? So when you're doing this training, or when you're writing these algorithms, are you using a specific language to write these in? What's the best to use it? And can you write in multiple languages?
Sure. So yeah, that's a good question. So Brad, actually language, the specific programming language doesn't matter a lot in my opinion, right? But you will see a lot of data scientists using Python. Simply because Python has a lot of libraries, right?
Okay.
So if you're a software programmer, you never write all the code from scratch, right?
Okay.
So you're always building on top of what great guys did, right? So you take their libraries and then build on top.
Okay. So it's
Python,
like an open network of previous libraries that are shared with data scientists.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Python has a very rich set of libraries.
Okay.
Right? So that becomes that becomes a key reason for actually using that. At the same time, if you're actually doing at a very fundamental level, then it doesn't matter. If you're really writing new algorithms, then it doesn't
Got
matter.
it. But most are using, like if you were to look at the code for ChatGPT, for some of the others that are out there, Claude, et cetera, are they using Python?
I won't be able to comment what they might be using because they do things at a more fundamental level, right? In terms of actually building brand new models from the ground up. But most of the time, if you are actually fine tuning models, existing models, building on top of an existing base, I would say that a lot of them will be using Python.
Okay. Got it. All right. And
I just want to complete that previous thought.
Sure,
right,
go ahead.
About the AI.
Yep.
So you take these millions of documents and then you remove words and let software predict. Now that's how. Now you say that, hey, what is the processing fee? In this closing disclosure, it would have taken, lot of closing disclosures where we have removed the value and asked it to predict based on the context around it. Right?
Sure.
So it figures out a way to kind of give you that answer.
Okay. So
Now-
you're literally like scanning in closing disclosures, removing pieces of information to train your model. And you're doing that thousands of times
Yep.
until you see that it's perfected.
Exactly.
So it's a tedious process.
It is a tedious process. But at the same time, what you can do is, it actually a great thing that happened is you don't need to start from scratch. What I mean is, first, you need to kind of teach it how to understand a closing disclosure doing this way, right?
Okay.
But at the same time, you have models that you can borrow and build on top, right?
Okay.
Now, these models are actually built on Wikipedia content.
Oh.
Right? So Wikipedia has millions of articles.
Yeah.
So somebody built a model using Wikipedia content, right? So you take that as a base. On top of it, you actually train it to understand mortgage documents.
Wow. Okay.
That's exactly what we did,
Interesting.
right? So today our software understands 500, 700 different mortgage documents, right? But we built it on top of something which was already trained on, 100 million, articles.
Okay.
Right? So that's
Yeah.
what we did.
Very interesting. I would have never thought that part of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the last part, which was really interesting about generative AI, is where data scientists figured out that hey, we always have been taking a paragraph, removing a word in between, and letting software to predict. Right now, what if we remove the last word and let the software predict the last word? Right. This is very important. Right.
Okay.
So as opposed to removing a word in the middle of a sentence and letting the software predict that, now you remove the last word and predict it, right?
That's more difficult.
That's more difficult, but actually that's very transformative in one fundamental way, right? Which is now if the software can predict the last word, then you can make the software build sentences and paragraphs because you ask a question, right? Now you're asking software to predict the next word. Now that is the first word of the answer. Now you give that as the input and ask the software to predict the next
Second
word,
word,
which
the
is the
third
second
word.
word of the answer,
Yes,
right?
got it.
So on and so forth. Bingo. Now you have a full answer to that question.
That's the transition.
Now
into
that is the generative aspect, right?
That's
That is the Gen
generative
AI
doubt.
part.
Yeah, that makes sense. What is the difference between AI and machine learning?
My advice for someone selling their home: number 1, do it yourself and save. Number 2, use HomePie.
HomePie makes it easy to buy or sell without an agent. I can list a home in minutes and start receiving offers right away from buyers.
When we discovered that we didn't have to lose $40,000 in agent commission just to upsize to a larger home, it was an obvious choice.
List your home for free at homepie.com. Keep your piece of the pie.
So machine learning is one technique in AI. So AI is actually multiple things, okay? And machine learning is one technique within that.
That's it. So what are the other techniques in AI then?
So the other techniques are, you talk about vision, right? So like reading and understanding traffic signals, right?
Okay.
So there is vision. There is a whole vision aspect to it, right? And you have nowadays you have audio, right? So where you want to actually, somebody is speaking, you want to actually recognize the song, right? So there's an audio aspect to
Okay.
it. So these are all different techniques.
So it's almost
within
like the senses that humans have.
Yeah,
So you
that's a
got
great way to
vision,
look
you
at
got
it.
hearing, you've got feeling, touching.
Text. Yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So
All
those
right.
are like there is AI which actually can read, expressions. Right.
Right.
So which people use for you want to test, let us say ads, right? You have a promo, you want to actually
Yeah.
test it, right? So they actually, give it to a test audience, have a test audience, and then they are observing facial rather
Right,
than
you have a
asking them
Focus group.
focus groups.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah.
So I hear that that's one of the biggest challenges with this robotic AI is the emotion side of it, is the feelings and the facial reactions and so forth.
I will actually answer that a little differently. I
Okay.
understand the question a little differently and answer it, right? So earlier I said that there are two key aspects to this Gen AI, software. One is this whole generative aspect, right, which we just discussed. And the second part is the context part of it, right? So earlier, when you ask a question or let us say closing disclosure, you want trying to get this thing, it's actually looking at the context around that, right? That paragraph. So now you have the latest, the Chat GPT or Claude, Gemini, etc., Anthropic. They can consider a lot more context,
Yeah.
right? So what that means is you can literally have a conversation running into days and weeks with a Gen AI model, and it can give you answer considering all that past history.
Okay. Yeah.
Right.
It needs that as context.
Yeah. So as opposed to, you say that, hey, I have, let us say, you're sitting across a borrower, a potential borrower, and and you want to suggest, let us say, a loan program to the borrower, right?
Okay.
So one way to do it is, hey, my loan borrower said that this is his situation, right? So he has $20,000 in bank. He has has a full-time job and maybe a part-time job, etc., etc. Now tell me what could be the right loan program, right?
Right, the
That's
options.
a potential use case,
Sure.
right? For it. Now, obviously, the borrower is not going to sign with you the next day, right? So you probably will be sitting across the table with the borrower over 6 months before he or she, decides to actually take that
Sure.
mortgage, right?
That's very reasonable.
Now, what if you can actually get answers not just based on that one paragraph of input, but rather based on the conversations that you are having with the borrower over the last 6 months?
It'd be great to have all that.
Yeah. So now
Yeah.
that is possible. That's what is called a context window now.
Yeah.
Right. So how much of that context you can actually feed?
Sure.
So that's where the models have becoming better and better now.
Sure.
Earlier you could actually give very little context. Now you can give a very large context, and that actually makes the software consider all this, and hence it can actually, understand. It feels like it understands your emotions,
Right.
etc., because it is considering all those
Everything
things.
it's been
Yeah.
learning about you.
Yeah.
That's so true. And so, I think that dovetails nicely into this idea that people are very fearful in many jobs that AI could take over, right? And one of the things in mortgage that makes it unique for, say a loan officer to be involved in transactions, that human element is that that recognition of previous conversations and being able to talk about their kids and other things that they learned over some course or period of time and making that connection. But as you're referring to, as AI becomes better and better at this, it has a more perfect memory and could actually see those selling signs or drive somebody into the correct mortgage based on objective responses instead of subjective ones. And so to some degree, I think that fear is merited, because even if you're using like a ChatGPT heavily and you're feeding it all this information from all the different aspects of your life, it tends to, and at least is my personal experience, to start formulating suggestions, responses, and that sort of thing that really do sound like you. But they remember everything that you fed before. Well, you previously, and then maybe 6 months ago, maybe years ago, this is now taken into context. Oh yeah, I forgot about that, because our memories are imperfect.
Yeah.
But AI's memory is perfect, right?
Yeah.
And it's getting better and better, even if it's not perfect. So let me ask this in another way. Where do you see AI picking up where the human element drops off?
Sure. Great question. And I don't think I have a firm answer for that, right? But I'll share my thoughts over there. So I'll answer it at two levels, right? One is actually more a tactical level where you are actually trying to use Gen AI models to improve your productivity, right? That's one level.
Yep.
And the second one is, where are we heading, right? So is this something that can really replace a human touch, right?
Yep.
So that's the second level that I'll address. Now, coming to that first point of, at a tactical, operational, and productivity level, right? So how are these Gen AI models working? So today, Gen AI models, they have a couple of shortcomings, right? One is hallucination, right? So they make up stuff, right? And the challenge is they make up stuff, and at the same time, they are super confident about the answer, right? So you ask, hey, what is the base income from this pay stub? It gives an answer, right? Probably 90% of the time it is correct. But even when it is incorrect, it will still give you with the same level of confidence the answer, right?
It's very believable.
Yeah. And that's a problem, right?
Yeah.
That's a problem when you are actually doing a function like underwriting. That's
Sure.
a challenge,
Yeah.
right? So if it is about, hey, how is the weather like today? Or maybe, something like, hey, what do you think of our current president and it gives a range of answer, it's okay, right?
Yeah.
It's not an objective, right, thing
Right.
that you are looking for, right? But not for the use cases like an underwriting.
Not what
kind
we're
of
talking
use
about.
case.
Where
Exactly.
it could mean the difference between somebody qualifying for a loan or not.
Exactly, right?
And to that tune, and I don't want to take you off your thought, but I had a situation very similar where I had loaded in a lease agreement. Okay, talking about leases, and asked a question about a tenant's rights, and it got back to me, and I read through it, and I thought, that's not right. So I took the paragraph
Yeah.
that did refer to it, I loaded it back in, and I said, I think you're wrong. Take a look at this paragraph. It says, oh, yes, I missed that. I was looking at the other paragraph, didn't realize this one was
Yeah.
below.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it isn't
yeah.
perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. And it does that a great job of, hey, you're exactly right,
Yeah.
I missed that. And then you'll
Yeah.
feel that, okay, maybe next time it will be 100% right, which is not the case, right?
Yeah.
So that's a challenge.
Not yet.
Yeah, not yet. So with Gen AI models, that is one big challenge, right? Hallucination. And the second is the confidence, what you call confidence rating that it actually gives for the answer. You can't rely on it.
Yeah.
Right. So even when it says that I'm confident about it, you can't rely on that.
Right.
And then the other challenge is it doesn't tell you from where it picked the answer, right? Which makes verification difficult. Right?
Yeah.
So like we at Voltage, for that matter, some of the others who are at the forefront of tech, we solve for that, right? So we kind of build a layer on top to make sure that hallucinations don't occur. Number two, the confidence rating that we attach, that our software, our models attach to the output, you can actually rely on it.
So you're saying that you're perfecting this idea that, or maybe you're duplicating the research that your models are doing to more make a better predictive model, but then you're also rating that. So are you giving the confidence a rating when you're giving the output? Like we're 98% certain, we're 99.7% certain.
Yeah, great question. So what we do is, see, even the Gen AI models, they give a number, right? To the answer, they give a confidence score.
There is a confidence
There
score.
is a confidence score,
Okay.
right? It's just that you can't rely on the confidence score.
Okay.
Even when the answer is wrong, it will still say the confidence score is 0.99.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So now what does that mean for you if you are an underwriter? What it means is from a document, let us say you're capturing 20 pieces of data, right? And I can't rely on the confidence score, which means that I have to review each one of the 20 answers.
You got to do it anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So what we are doing is we are actually, fine tuning the models and building a layer on top so that when we actually give the output, we actually at Voltage, we give a rating of high and low. And when we say high, it's always right, almost always right. So you can rely on that answer. And when we say low, that is something I'm telling you upfront that, hey, this is something that
better
needs
review.
eyeballing, right? So that way, even if I'm able to put 80% of the output in high confidence bucket, you have 80% savings in time, right? Which is what we deliver, right?
Got it.
So that's how we are solving
Okay.
that.
So you're able to create efficiencies up to a certain amount, and you're going to keep working on improving that until, do you believe that at some point it'll be 100% confident?
Yeah,
You do?
yeah. So I don't think we'll reach a point where for every output you will have 100% confidence, right? And I don't even want to solve for that problem. Rather, I want to solve for a problem first where when I say high confidence, you can rely on it, right? You should not have to review that.
Okay.
Right, and then I work on increasing the amount, the percentage output that goes into that bucket, right?
Got
so
it.
today we are at 80 to 90%, right? Now we try to improve that, right? But the first factor is more important. Right?
Okay.
So being able to rely on that confidence rate.
Got it.
Right?
So with VaultEdge, then your primary focus is the document, the understanding of documents and output of information that mortgage lenders and servicers can rely on, and increasing that to the highest confidence you possibly can at the highest percentage of high confidence. Where do you see VaultEdge in the future? Like, what is what does it look like 2 years from now? What does it look like 5 years from now?
Sure. Yeah, let me try to paint that picture, right? So today what we do is Voltage, we are a document AI company with a focus on mortgages, right? Now what that means is we work with mortgage lenders and we work with mortgage servicers. And for example, for mortgage servicers, we help them automate loan boarding, which means that you did a bulk transaction or you got a bunch of flow loans, you need to onboard them instead of an army of people identifying the documents, separating them out, capturing data. Our software helps you automate that.
Okay, so that our audience understands. So a mortgage servicer is a company that will accept your payments, process the payments, and that sort of thing. So people may recognize like a Loan Care or a Mr. Cooper. These are some of the largest servicing companies. There are a lot of smaller ones. There are a lot of banks that service their own loans. You might make your payments to Bank of America. They have their own servicing, that type of thing. But they're buying these loans from mortgage lenders that are funding them. And so when Murali says on flow, it means one by one. One loan, one purchase. One loan sale, one loan purchase. And then sometimes they'll do these in bulk, a lot of times in bulk, which might be hundreds or even thousands of loans that are purchased, and onboarding those in a timely period because those of you that have a mortgage know that it can get sold. And during that selling process, you may transfer one servicer to another. And they need to do that within a 30-day period so that you get onboarded, you see your account and that sort of thing. So they got to move very quickly.
Right.
And so you're expediting that process by allowing them to take these scanned documents, understand them, parse them, put them in the right spots, and get the right data into the servicing software so that people are making the right payments, have the right escrow accounts for taxes, insurance, and all that sort of thing.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So because the last thing that you want is a borrower calls you and you don't have the right document in the right place.
Yeah.
Right. So we solve for that problem.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's a big problem that you solve for.
Yeah.
So give me an idea. So you started the company about 8 years ago.
Yeah.
That you said that came out of some learning experiences. We'll just say those are startups that failed. So I want to learn this process because a lot of our audience, they're entrepreneurs. They may be in tech, they may not be, but we all experience the same thing when we're entrepreneurs. And so tell me a little bit more about like one of your failed ventures. What was it? How much money, how much time did you put into it? And when did you pull the plug?
I'd say if you're considering joining the AmeriFund team, it's a really good idea.
We as processors at AmeriFund Home Loans support the loan officers in every aspect of the loan once it comes into processing because we want them out there marketing themselves and originating more loans and supporting more borrowers.
Competitive commission plans are a given, and powerful technology is expected, but what truly sets us apart is our culture. We've built a solid support system for our loan officers. If you're interested in joining the AmeriFund team, go to amerifund.com/careers.
Sure. So I had two before Voltage, right? And they kind of didn't go well for different reasons, right? And there are learnings along the way, right? So the first one, I was actually moonlighting on that startup, right? So when I was still having a full-time job, trying to figure things out. And I was working on that idea with a couple of good friends. And that didn't go well. And the reason was actually co-founder conflict, right?
Okay.
So these are actually people that I would sit across the table every day for lunch, chat, go out for a cup of coffee, etc., right?
Uh-huh.
So you would think that would naturally translate to good working relationship in a startup. That didn't really translate that way, right?
Yep.
So looking back, and then, when I was talking to, when I was reflecting back, and then I talked to a few people, and I will actually boil that down to two things, right? So when co-founder is probably the most important thing in a startup, right? Having the right set of co-founders, okay? And the learning that I had is, when you are actually picking co-founders, what you want to look for is shared values, complementary skills.
Yeah. That's a very good point.
Both of these are extremely important, right?
Did you feel you didn't have that with this partner?
Yeah.
You had similar skill set?
We had similar skill set, and then it turned out...
And different opinions.
Different opinions, different values, different way of looking at things.
That is one of the main reasons that startups fail is the conflict between partners. And whether it be in the short term or long term, it could be a longer relationship, and then you know people drift apart. And so, but you tried it again.
Yeah, I tried again, right? Because so by the time the startup bug had bit me, right? So there was, so to say, no turning back. So I tried that again. So this time I did not have a co-founder. So, but I knew that I still want to kind of build something. So I started working on another idea. So this idea was we were actually trying to build a urban transportation startup, right? So that was the time when Uber kind of burst into the market, and we had a slightly different angle over there, where we take not only a shared rides but also take shared rides, public transport, etc., and try to create a solution.
Okay.
So I think over there that didn't really take off because there are certain markets where you need to invest a lot of money before you start seeing results, right? Before you start making money. So over there is, these are like those winner takes all markets, right? And, all the funding will go to the top 3, right? Mm-hmm. So all the attention will go there, right? So if for whatever reason you're not there, then it's very, very difficult to kind of make things work, right?
And so that one was really a money thing.
Yeah, that was actually, I can't just boil that down to that. It is money thing at one level, but it's also about focus from a problem statement perspective, right? So looking back, what we are trying to do is we are trying to build an urban transportation solution that will actually give you a truly multimodal, transportation plan for you to go from A to B, right? So which means that it addresses the needs of a commuter that takes the metro or the tram, right? Or it also serves the needs of people who drive, etc., or who take a cab. And looking back, I think we are trying to be, all things for all people.
Okay.
Right? Which is not a good thing to do.
All right, not niche enough. What was the name of that company?
We called it Yo Ride.
Your Ride.
Yo Ride. Y-O. Ride.
Oh, Yo Ride.
Yo Ride.
Yo Ride.
Yo Ride.
Okay, got it.
Yeah,
Yo.
that's right.
Yo. Hey, come pick me up. All right.
Yeah.
So that one, how long did you have that company for?
So I ran it for about 2 years, 2+ years.
And how much money did you put into it?
It was just friends and family.
Okay.
Right. It was friends and family.
So you raised some money from friends and
We
family.
did.
How much did you raise for it?
So not a whole lot. So
10,000, 20, 50?
More like 100K.
100K.
Right.
So, and the reason I ask that is that, I think that's one of the things that people that are entrepreneurs, that it's a challenge for them, is that they've got time and money invested and maybe other people's money, and they feel so obligated to it that they keep trying to force something, then they don't pull the plug until they're forced to pull the plug. Yeah. And it may be better to do that earlier than later. Yeah. So in this case, it was, you say, about a year, and you realize, wait a minute, this isn't working. There's some bigger boys that are getting all the money. We need money to power this up, and we're better off starting something else.
Yes. In fact, Brad, that's a really good point, and I think founders need to kind of understand that. So because the thing with the startup journey, entrepreneurship is I know that we are doing Blueprint.
Yeah.
But when it comes to entrepreneurship, you can have a high-level blueprint, but not a detailed blueprint. Right?
Yeah.
So you have to continuously adapt.
That's right. You have to be able to be adaptable.
Yeah.
To market changes, to business changes, to personality changes, to customer changes, to all of that. You've got to be able to flow with it all. And it isn't easy. The pressure is, there's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, but I'll add one more to what you said.
Please.
Right? You actually need to be open to the idea that your idea did not have legs.
May not be. Yeah, it may not be.
So that's very important, right? So don't get so attached, wedded to that solution that you have in mind. Right. So, I mean, it's still okay to kind of be attached to the problem that you want to solve, but not so much to the solution, right? Solution needs to change, right?
So how long was it after that failure of Yo Ride did you start Vault Edge?
So actually, it's immediately after that, right?
Immediately. So was Sajid part of You'll ride?
He was not. Sajeev was not part of Your
Okay.
Ride, but Sajeev and I, we were sitting across the table and working on different things, right?
Okay.
So I was working on Your Ride, and Sajeev was working on Voltage in a different avatar.
Were you working, like, are you talking about like you were at a WeWork space or something? Kind of
Exactly. We were working in a
shared-
co-working space.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So we
And you
met
got to
at
know
a-
each other.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
So we met at a startup event, and then kind of we kept in touch. We were working out of the same co-working space, and so we kind of so to say know each other for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And once when I decided that Your Ride, my previous startup, it's not really taking off. Then I was actually talking to him, and then he needed a co-founder.
Okay.
So we joined forces and started working on Voltage.
And where was this?
This was in Bangalore. So
It was in India.
in India. That's
Okay.
right. That's right. So
When did you move to the States?
Yeah. So I grew up in India. I did all my schooling, college in India. So
Is it
first
that
time-
one? I'm not going to remember the name of the college, but there's one college there for technologists that is like the most well known. What's it
Right.
called?
So IITs.
Yes,
Right.
thank you.
IITs. So I did not go to IITs, but
Okay.
so I went to. But for my MBA, I did an MBA. I went to this IIM Ahmedabad, Indian Institute of Management,
Okay.
Ahmedabad, so which is a top B school in the country. And so I have that engineering plus MBA background, right? So, so we, and so that definitely gives you, a bit of help in terms of the right connections,
Sure.
network, etc.
Yep.
So in terms of me moving to the US, soon after my my MBA, I moved to the US. So
Oh, okay.
My very first job was actually in the US. This was back in 2000.
Okay.
So I came to the US, I spent a couple of years here, then went back to India. And then I was based in India, traveling across the world as part of my consulting gig. And after that, once I started Voltage, we are trying to figure out which is the right problem statement. Then we realized that, hey, mortgage is a area where documents are a big challenge.
Did you buy a house in the U.S. previous to getting into the mortgage
No.
solution bit? That's
I
so
did not.
interesting.
I did not.
Okay.
I did not. So yeah, so I think this is common knowledge, but I think worth mentioning. I think one of the biggest things about startup journey is hustle, right? So you have to hustle, right? And there is no straight line in terms of, hey, this is how you go and get the first client.
That's
So
right.
you have to be doing different things, but always keep your mind open of what is working, what's not working, and be adapt. So that's what I did. And then we signed our first client in the US, which was Ocwen,
Oh,
right?
it's a big client.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
So sitting out of India.
How long after you started the company did you sign?
So we
Ocwen.
signed Ocwen in 2020.
Wow. So very soon after,
Yeah.
a couple of years,
Yeah,
2 years.
A couple of years.
Yeah. How much money did you invest in Voltage to start with?
So with Voltage, what we did was we raised an initial angel round and a small pre-series round. So far we raised overall less than $1 million.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Okay.
less than $1 million.
That's not a lot by standards of a startup, especially a technology startup.
Yeah.
And the rest of it is self-funded?
So it almost disqualifies us from Valley
for sure it
VCs,
does.
I guess.
Yeah, it certainly does. And since then, you've been funding your own growth.
That's right. That's
Wow.
right. So yeah. So we decided that since we actually were in the mortgage industry, we saw things changing, right? So we all experienced that
Sure.
2022, 2023, the downturn. So we could see that this is going to last for some time, right?
Yep.
So we kind of decided that, hey, we can't chase VC money and fund this. So we kind of changed our approach and became profitable. So
Yeah.
we've been running Voltage profitably for the last couple
Slower
of years.
growth.
Yeah, slower growth.
Yeah, that's smart. Look, I'll relate that to one of my businesses, a tech company that I have called HomePie, which is a for sale by owner platform. that I started.
Sorry, what platform is
It's a for sale by owner platform.
Okay, for sale
So
by
it's a
owner.
platform, very much like a Zillow or Redfin or Realtor.com or Homes.com, where you can go on, you can search for homes, you can share them, you can, view them and all those things, see the stats of them. But they're all listed by owner. Every property is listed by owner. And we created technology to allow people to interact directly with each other without the need of a real estate agent and save the commission. Now, there are some real estate agent aspects to it that, on the buyer side and that sort of thing. But, when I started that, which was in 2019, and we launched it in 2020 during COVID, things were obviously very robust and really moving at a fast pace in 2020, 2021 with low interest rates and all that. But the attention went to the biggest, right? Yeah. Those that already had the track record, that had already founded a company and had an exit and all that sort of thing. So the VC money was going to these people that weren't even part of the mortgage industry. These were people that you come from tech and wanted to solve for mortgage, very much like you, without the knowledge. But it's not easy to do without that knowledge piece. And so all those companies that were leaning in and raised all this money, and I'm talking about every single one of them, because I have a list of all our competitors for the last 5 years, all those companies that raised tens of millions of dollars, they're all out of business. They were spending money into a down market where I said, look, this is not the market to be growing in. Let's learn what our customers need. Let's have a tight feedback loop. Let's iterate based on that. It's about just surviving. And now we've survived to the point where the market's shifted. We have AI that can help. We have all the NAR settlements and all these things that are leading to the shakeup of real estate. And we made it through where the others didn't. So very prudent of you in the same fashion to go, hey, do we want to keep raising money and try and grow in a down market, or why don't we just become profitable and we'll fund ourselves? Really smart. Give me an idea of what you guys look like today, from a customer, how many customers, and the growth you've had, and where you see yourself in the future.
Sure. So today we are operating in 2 markets, US and in India.
Oh,
right. So in US, we primarily sell to the mortgage industry, mortgage lenders and mortgage services. In India, we again sell for lenders to banks and lenders, but it's not just mortgage loans. So in India, our product is used for mortgage loans. It's also used for education loans and small business loans.
Okay.
Right? So, but we decided to keep lending as our primary focus.
Yeah.
Right? So 2 markets and profitable overall, and the primary problem statement that we are solving is productivity and the time, right?
Sure.
So essentially it's about reducing the time and cost it takes by 60 to 80%, right?
Yeah.
The document processing.
Yeah.
At the same time, where we are headed is we actually want to solve for decision making, right? So for example, for brokers, so a broker actually is dealing with borrowers. Let us say it's a self-employed borrower, non-QM borrower, right? So you have 10 lenders with 10 loan programs.
Yep.
Now, how do you identify the right loan program for
At the right
borrower,
lender. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So a lot of times you just go with the top 3, top 2, right? And he may get disqualified.
Sure.
Right?
So give me an idea of that vision, because
Sure.
today, in a practical sense, if you're a loan originator and you've done a loan application, all the stats. Like this person has a 672 credit score. You've got to go with bank statements at the best case scenario, maybe DSCR as a secondary scenario, but you need to get a rate as low as possible to create cash flow for them, whatever it is. And there's 12 different lenders that you're approved with that do loans that are similar. How are you solving for finding the right loan product with the right lender to submit that to?
Yeah. So Brad, this is one part of our vision, right? Where the idea is, today we solve for capturing data, right? At the end of it, that's what we are doing today.
Sure.
Right? Identifying documents and capturing data, and the plan is to go from there to decision making, right? And the way we are actually approaching this is, if you look at a loan program, right? So you go to, let us say, ACC, PRMG, right? So each of them have say a dozen loan programs, and each loan program is a 5 to 6 page document, right? Where credit score, the LTV, etc., are just the top parameters. But then there are like 5 pages of overlays.
Sure.
Right? So if you have a bankruptcy, then does it fit or not? Right?
Yep.
Things like that. So the way we are actually seeing is think about a really smart broker, right? One of your guys who has knowledge of all of these things, right? So where you go and ask, hey, this is my scenario, what do you think, right?
Sure.
He gives an answer. But then, my guy actually lost job 3 months back. Will he still qualify?
Right.
Hey, in that case, all the 12 will not, but these 5 will, right?
Yep.
But what about this other scenario where, let us say he had a bankruptcy.
Yep.
Hey, no, only these 3, right?
That's right.
But wait, you know what? Between these 3, we sent, for one of the 3 lenders, we actually sent 10 loan files in the last 1 month. None of them got approved.
Yeah.
So let's kind of stick to only these 2.
Yeah.
Right? So that's how I'm actually seeing this, right? So
Yep.
the way I see it is, it's not going to be, people are talking about agents, AI agents, etc., where the idea is it will give you the final answer, right? So I actually, see it more as AI is the smart agent that needs your help and guidance,
Yeah.
right? You asking the right questions,
Sure.
right?
Yep.
So the way we are seeing is, for example, for exactly this problem statement, we are actually conceptualizing a way where it actually takes, today if you try to feed all this data as rules, you will never be able to do it.
Yeah.
Because
Way
you
too many,
can't-
way too
many,
complex.
right? So, have the AI, understand all these loan programs.
Yep.
And then, based on that, get the answer. But then, again, apply all those,
Right.
confidence, make sure that
Yep.
there's no hallucination, etc. Right? So build those things.
Yeah, so I
that's
want to
the
repeat
direction.
what you said because I understand completely and it's profound, but I want to state it in a way where others would understand it as well. So in the mortgage business, what Murali is saying is like your really experienced loan officer can take a loan application and understand all the aspects, the qualifications of that application. Did you have a bankruptcy? Did you not have one? What your credit score was the last time you had a bankruptcy, or did you have one? Are you a veteran or not a veteran? Do you have available usage of your VA benefits? So on and so forth. Mortgage lates last month. Things of this nature. All these different things, and in that experienced loan officer's head, they can determine, okay, here are the 2 potential products I could put you in, but I'm not sure which lender I would go to. I think there's these 3 that can do it, and then you wind up going down the road of talking to them, and they run by their guidelines, and they come back and you go, okay, it looks like this is the one that potentially could do this loan and give you the best rate possible, and so forth. And that great loan officer can go through that experience in their head, and with making a few phone calls and looking at some guidelines to get pretty close. And maybe they're successful with 90% of that, or then they've got to it didn't work there, and then send it somewhere else and so forth. What you're describing is a scenario where everybody feeds their guidelines for all their loan products into an AI model, because the rules-based model won't work. There's too many complexities. There's too many choices. But AI can read all the guidelines. And guidelines are really those things that say, we will do a loan up to 85% loan to value, even if there's a mortgage late 60 days ago, but not more than 1 times 30 in the last 12 months, and a bankruptcy that is more than 2 years old, and all these different things. Way too many rules. But AI could read all of those guidelines and then take the loan application with understanding all the aspects of that applicant, including asking the right questions. So not missing a question, because what you described is, okay, well, this one loan officer asked another loan officer, but the first loan officer didn't say that they had that mortgage late, and that question wasn't asked, and that blew the loan and they couldn't get it. But asking all the right questions so that then it could take that loan and place it with the right product at the right lender.
Correct.
I actually know somebody who's working on that.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I do.
Okay. So maybe we can actually partner.
I actually do. And it might be worth an introduction because it's an engine that was rules-based. It was built more than 2 decades ago that did something very similar. And it probably wasn't this. It was probably something else. But I want to say maybe it was called Lion's Desk, but it may have been something else. But it was all rules-based and it was a lot less complex than we have today. So I think that's great, and that is definitely a glimpse into the future and the vision of where mortgages go, and it takes us right back to, could AI replace the loan officer?
Yeah. I know that was a question that I did not fully answer, right? So my my point of view is, any interactions or any roles that need human interaction can't be fully replaced with AI, right? That's my strong belief. Rather, that loan officer will be a lot more productive and a lot more effective if he uses AI
As a tool.
So much, as a tool. So much so that if you're a loan officer and you're not using AI, I think you'll fall behind and you'll become extinct.
Yeah.
Right? That is how I see it.
And I think it is incumbent upon not only the loan officer, but the company that the loan officer works for and the industry as a whole to use AI in a way where it becomes a tool. I will tell you, I think also that the biggest insulation that we have right now, and who knows whether that will always be, is licensing. In order to do a loan application, you have to have a license. You have to be a licensed originator. Will that always be the case? I don't know.
Maybe not.
But Pavan, Pavan Agwal from SunWest and Angel AI.
Okay.
Do you know who that is?
I think I came across him. I bumped into him.
Yeah,
probably.
they're closing loans using only AI.
Okay, interesting.
Things are changing. They're changing rapidly. But I think that you're right. I think for the foreseeable future, AI becomes a tool for the mortgage industry, and we have to adapt and we have to adopt it. And with companies like Rocket and UWM kind of leading the charge there because they're so well funded, it's becoming more and more of what we do. For example, we're able to ask questions and scenarios of AI assistants that comes through guidelines for us instead of us actually going through and reading those guidelines. So things are changing. They're changing.
Absolutely,
and you guys
absolutely.
are on the edge of this, the vault edge of it.
Thank you, Brad.
Yes.
Yeah, so nicely put. Thank you.
Well, Murali, man, it has been a real pleasure to have you here. Very insightful. I know you guys are doing big things, and I want to see you continue to be successful. Is there anything you want to share with the audience, and how could somebody reach you if they wanted to?
Yeah. So first of all, Brad, thanks a lot. This is amazing, right? So that I asked, hey, what I'm going to talk about, and you said that, hey, we'll just have a conversation, and that's what this was,
what we
and
did.
I loved it, right? So I did not know what you were going to ask, but this was just like like two friends chatting, right?
That's
This is,
right.
I think what it was. So I loved it. So thanks a lot for actually inviting me.
My pleasure.
So about reaching voltage, yeah. So if you're a lender, if you're a mortgage servicer, love to actually talk to you. But even otherwise, you're just kind of curious about technology. You're curious about where AI is taking us, and you have ideas to bounce or questions to ask. Just ping me. The best way to kind of reach me is on either LinkedIn or email. My email is pretty simple. It's my first name, Murali, Murali, at Vault Edge, like Vault, like VAULT, vaultedge.com.
Yeah, like a vault, like it's
Yes.
it's as good as being in the vault.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the best way.
Murali at vaultedge.com.
That's right.
Yes, awesome. Well, thanks again for coming. It's been my pleasure. And guys, that's another edition of The Blueprint. If you like what you heard, please follow, share, subscribe. Those things really do help us. And again, just reach out anytime. If you have somebody that you'd love me to interview that you think would be great for our audience to hear, please reach out and refer them. Murali, it's been a real pleasure, and we'll see you guys next time on The Blueprint.